Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Politics Now. We're talking about modern politics in modern America. And today, we're going to be discussing why Trump is at an all time high now, both in the general election polls and the primary. So, yeah, let's just get into that. So, Trump, he's doing pretty well right now. He's beating Biden in the general election polls, and given the trends, he's likely going to go even further up. He might reach a point or two, and he might even beat his all time high in the general election polls of 2.5 above Biden. So he's doing pretty well in the general election polls, considering how this is Trump we're talking about, and he never does well in the general election polls, but he's doing pretty good there. Biden, he's a Democrat, so he should be polling way higher, and he definitely shouldn't be losing to Trump. And given the fact that he is, yeah, he really is in the position where he can win the electoral college and win it by a landslide. Because if you're losing this badly as a Democrat, not only are you likely to lose the electoral college, but you're also pretty much under threat of losing the popular vote. And given the fact that a Republican hasn't won the popular vote ever since 2004, I don't think you really want that to happen because if Trump wins the popular vote, it's going to be a major win for him. And that will be the defining moment of 2024. He could even lose, and if he still wins the popular vote, that would be a massive win for Trump. So, given the fact that Trump is winning in the general election polls, how is he doing in the primary? Well, he's kicking everybody's ass. He's at an all time high. He's never been this high before. He's at 42.5 points above DeSantis, and DeSantis, he's at his all time low. Trump is boosting back up to around his all time high. He's not exactly there. I think his all time high was bordering on 56%, but he's close enough. And if you take in the margins, yeah, he's at his all time high. DeSantis, he's polling now in the 12s, which that is embarrassing. He is just completely being destroyed by Trump, and Trump winning the nomination is pretty much a 100% guarantee at this rate. No other candidate is actually putting up a serious fight. Nikki Haley was going up for a little bit, and then now she's just kind of stagnating. Ramaswamy is just kind of sitting there. He's not really a serious threat. DeSantis has been falling and falling and falling. He's lost over half of his base over the past 3 months at this rate, and he's at an all-time low. He's sinking down and down and down. He's probably gonna get below Ramaswamy or Nikki Haley at this rate because he's just doing that poorly. And Trump, he's been sitting in the mid 50s for the past 3 months, ever since the first indictment hit. So he's doing relatively good. And he has nothing to worry about when it comes to the Republican base because he's got them all under his belt, and he has all the Republicans on board that he needs to have to actually win the election because all these other candidates aren't putting any serious threat up against him. And the most that they are doing are people who are at 3% who are basically spending their whole campaign trashing on Trump, which yeah, it's not really doing much because usually if that had an effect, he wouldn't be polling at 55% where his opponent is 42% lower than him. So I think he's doing pretty fine. And the general election poll, that's the most important because it's pretty clear that Trump is going to be the nominee. So at this point, the primary polls, unless something major happens, it's going to stay the same. Trump is going to sweep DeSantis in pretty much every single state. And DeSantis doesn't really have any chance of winning now because he's fallen and fallen and fallen and fallen. And he's not made any major adjustments that m- kind of causes you to rise in the polls because he's pretty much continued the same strategy of just doing nothing and doing nothing to improve his campaign. And I think we can see that through the fact that he barely gets any sort of crowd whenever he actually makes a public appearance, and most of the time he gets booed by a lot of the crowd because I mean, if you have 12% of the vote in your party and you're being beaten so badly by your main opponent, yeah, it's not really likely that all the crowd is going to be on your side. So DeSantis, his 2024 run is just a complete joke, and he has no chance of beating Trump at this rate. So most people are going to focus on the general election, and especially since Trump is doing pretty well in the popular vote poll. And when you look at the general election polls, it's basically a fight for the popular vote. If a Republican is up in the general election polls, they have a pretty good shot at winning the popular vote. A Democrat needs to be up at least 4 points to withstand any sort of chance of winning the electoral college, because if it's a tough fight or they're losing in this case, yeah, you're not really going to have a fun time when it comes to the electoral college, especially in a lot of these swing states. I'm talking Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona. He's doing terrible in all these states. And if Trump wins the popular vote against a Democrat, yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's going to have a much better time at winning a lot of these states compared to Biden, because Democrats, they have their major city majority, and they have the popular vote on a stranglehold. If they are gonna lose that, it's gonna be through a ton of independents flipping to the Republicans and a lot of your own base just not showing up for you. Which Biden, he has all of those in spades. His base hates him, independents hate him, Republicans hate him, even neocons that would normally just sort of squish and squash for the Democrat president. These are like the Mitt Romney people, which he's retiring, so that's a good thing. But they don't even like him. If Mitt Romney is open about indicting you, even though he again voted for Trump's indictment each two times that he was indicted as president, uh, you are screwing up to massive proportions where you've turned pretty much everyone against you. Your base hates you, your party hates you, independents hate you, pretty much everyone in America hates you, and that's kind of why your opponent is beating you in a poll where Democrats have had a stranglehold over it for the past, 20 years? So, if that's happening, it calls into serious question, can Biden actually win? Not really. And Biden at this rate is going to suffer a massive defeat. If we were to stop it right now and just have the election outright, Biden would suffer an embarrassing defeat and Trump would score a massive win. Not only would he have a pretty decent shot at winning the popular vote, but he would make places like New Hampshire, Maine at large, even Virginia, he would make those places contested states. And according to the swing states, yeah, maybe Michigan might go Democrat or Arizona, but all the other ones, just given the trends there and given the national averages, yeah, they're going to go Republican by narrow margins, but they're still going to go Republican. And if that happens, which Trump only needs to win 3 states, he only needs to win Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. He only needs to win 3 states. Those states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. If he wins those, he gets his 270 and he's clear. And now he's scoring well above that. He's going above and beyond what he even needs to have to actually win. And given that, it calls into question, can Biden win these more Democrat friendly swing states if he's losing so badly in the general election polls and Trump is dominating in his own primary season? So, given the fact that Georgia, Michigan, and Arizona are all Democrat friendly swing states, which they're still swing states, so they could go Republican, and given the fact that Trump is doing pretty well against Biden and pretty well against his main competition for the nomination, well, if trends or an event or any major shift doesn't happen, those states are going to go Republican, and they are going to go Republican by wider majorities than a pretty even election or even a Democrat friendly year. Because just looking at the data, looking at the trends, I suspect that a red wave year is going to happen. And I know 2022, they were all suspecting that that was going to be a red wave year. There was a lot of factors that went into that not being a red wave year. But just looking at the atmosphere and looking at the polling data, that it suggests that Trump has a pretty serious shot at winning a landslide victory. And is it likely that he's going to win a landslide victory? No. He's more likely going to win a sort of average victory where he wins a majority of the swing states, and that's how he gets his 270. But still, that is a pretty massive difference compared to 2016 or 2020, where it was pretty much predicted that Trump would lose in a massive Democrat landslide, where he won one of them and made winning 2020 a very hard deal because Biden won by under 1% in a lot of these states. And that was even when Trump was overwhelmingly disapproved. He had to deal with COVID and he had to deal with the recession that came from COVID. So, if all of those factors were going against Trump and there was pretty much no dirt on Biden because, the Hunter laptop story that got covered up, pretty much everything else got covered up for him. And he had everything going for him, yet it was still a struggle to defeat Trump in 2020. Now, Trump has all of the advantages and Biden has all of the disadvantages because people see now what a Biden presidency looks like and what he actually looks like in real life and how he sounds. And what they see is a bumbling old man who belongs in a nursing home and probably needs a diaper change now. So now that they've seen that, and now that Trump is going to be begging for a debate, he's going to be waiting eager like a kid on Christmas morning who just got that new bike that he wanted. He's going to be eagerly waiting for a debate opportunity, and he's going to take it the second that he's got it. And it is going to be a complete blowout for Biden because he cannot debate now unless they get him cooked up on drugs, which at this rate he's so far gone that I don't really think that any of those stimulants that they gave him in 2020 are really going to work now because he's just so far gone. He's not actually going to deliver coherent sentences during a debate, and especially since Trump is pulling out the 2016 strategy. He's not going with boring old 2020 Trump. He's going with 2016, attack everyone, come up with names, and just generally be a caricature and just be entertaining. And that's what Trump is doing. He is pulling out all the stops that helped him win in 2016 and he's using it against his vulnerable opponent, and that's kind of why Trump is beating him in the polls and why he's winning the primary by massive proportions. So, yeah, if you think Trump will win the election, leave them in the comments below. If you think Biden can win, leave them in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.